Station AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen, along with my co-host is Silver Fox, Michael Doherty.
How you doing, Cary?
I'm good, Michael. I mean, you know, it's Monday.
It is Monday. How was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, we tried to do some shopping, but we got a little bit done here and there. But to tell you the truth, I got a lot more to go, and not many days to happen, you know?
I think there are some people out there that are listening that are saying, oh, I'm in the same boat.
I think there's a lot of people out there that are listening saying, oh, I'm in the same boat. But anyways, Families in Action is brought to you by your local hometown station, AM 1220, which we very much appreciate. We've been on the air for a very long time. I think it's been, 13 years?
13.
And there you go. It's a long time. And also Action Family Counseling, which is alcohol and drug treatment centers, and the Action Foundation, which I will let you gladly talk about.
Oh, Cary, the Action Family Foundation does so much out there. It's just a long list. One of the things that we talk about from time to time is the Action Academy, which I think is just a marvelous thing that you do. Free, public, sober school for local junior and senior high school students. And this is in conjunction with the Hart School District.
It's a partnership, yes, with the Hart School District and Action Family Counseling. And I'll tell you, there are some sober schools in the country, but there's not. I don't know of any that does an actual partnership between a drug rehabilitation center and a school district. So it's really pretty exciting to see. It's for middle school and high school. We were dealing with 10 children. Now we're up to 8. We're going to expand it to 18. So we're feeling pretty optimistic about what's going on around there. It's pretty cool stuff.
What an excellent program. And the other thing
it really is cool to see these kids, you know.
Oh, sure.
That they're struggling in school and mainstream with big classes and academics and trying to stay clean at the same time. So we have a smaller school with a lot of support so they can get their academics, and then we're doing a lot of drug counseling and education at the same time. So it's very cool.
And that setting has to help at least a little bit with the peer pressure thing.
Of course. Well, the peer pressure is I'm not going to say gone, because you know when these kids, especially when we get them, by the time somebody finds out that they're adolescents using drugs, usually they've been using anywhere from a year to 18 months. That's an average. So they still got all their friends and stuff like that are using, but at least we're taking the peer pressure away from the day. Because you know, if you're thinking about kids for a second, let's just spend a minute on this.
Sure.
Especially adolescents, what's the last thing a child does before they go to sleep, 12 years old and up?
Well, they're checking that social media on their mobile device.
Last thing they do before they go to sleep is they go to sleep with their friends, either on FaceTime or Snapchat or whatever it is that they're doing.
Whatever the flavor of the day is.
Yeah. Then they wake up in the morning. Before they roll out of bed and use the restroom, what's the first thing they do?
Well, they're picking up that mobile device again and checking all their friends on
Facebook.
Facebook.
They go to bed with their friends, and they wake up with their friends, right?
Yeah.
So then they do their thing. They go out, have breakfast, or whatever it is they do. The parents got them for about a minute, and they're off to school. And what, they're in school 6-8 hours with who?
Their friends.
So let me
either in person or on the mobile device.
So let's get, in school they're there with their friends. So they're with their friends when they go to sleep. They're with their friends when they wake up. They're all day in school with their friends. Think about peer pressure.
Right.
Then we get home from work, if there's a mom and dad even living together. I mean, it is California, and so here's a 2-minute conversation. How's your day? Was good. How's school? Was okay. You have any homework? I done it. Are you hungry? I ate. And they're back in their room doing what?
Back on the social media.
So peer pressure today is a whole lot different than it has ever been before. It's a whole lot stronger. People want to know why there's so many kids making so many mistakes and using drugs. It's pretty clear. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure, and that also translates into what we've talked about from time to time, and that's social bullying and all that.
Oh, it's everything,
yeah.
but it's not. Yes, and it's not just drugs. It's drugs and alcohol. It's sex. It's all kinds of other risky behaviors that kids are kind of muscled into doing now because of peer pressure and some bullying stuff. So, what the sober school does is it gives them an alternative peer group, kids that they like, kids that they want to hang out with, that are now staying clean. So they go to bed with whoever, they wake up, they go to school with sober people, and usually they still hang out with them. So we're changing their whole atmosphere of their world. And it's very exciting to see that happen.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic program. The other thing I wanted to mention real quickly was what's happening Tuesday night, and every Tuesday night, 7 to 9 at Canyon High School, and that's the Free Parent Support Group. What a phenomenal program that is. We have parents out there that are saying, what do? I don't know what to do here. Nothing I do is working.
Right.
I need help. Here it is.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. It's every Tuesday night at Canyon High School in the AA building. We have certified counselors that are working with the children, and then I'm in the parent group with other trained parents that are helping you get through whatever crisis you're going through. And I'll tell you what, in these parent groups, we deal with everything. From self-esteem to substance abuse to school problems to gang problems to whatever problems. So it's really a good, safe place for you to bring your children and see what's going on. And I tell you what, you will get answers. But it's not a miracle cure. I mean, it takes work.
Yeah.
So, but the first step is to walk in that group. And I don't think there's anything that you're going through with your adolescent that we haven't heard already.
And we want to say, don't preempt yourself. Don't sit there and say, well, I don't want to do it because I'm too shy, and if I show up and see somebody I know, I'm just going to die. What do you say to that, Cary?
If you show up and you see somebody you know, guess what? They're there for the same reason. And I tell you what, if you have children today and there's crises, this is a place to go and figure out how to get solutions. You've got parents in that room that's been through all that you can even think of that have gone to the other side, and you got counselors in that room that are there to help you figure out what to do. So you're not alone, and it's scary. I get it. Mm-hmm. Going into anything and reaching out for help is scary, especially when it's your child.
Now, I haven't asked you this before, but are there people that show up to this free parent support group who've been doing it for some time? I mean, it's not just, in other words, come one time or come twice. Some of them come quite a lot. I
have parents in the room that's been there for 5 years.
Wow.
That came in there in crisis 5 years ago. Crisis went away pretty quickly, and they've continued to come to also reach out and to give back.
And they would be a big help to somebody that
They're
came in.
They're a huge help.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we got, let's say, John. He's been there for over 5 years, and I mean, I can go on for days. All the parents that's been there. There's a lot of people that continue to come, and I always tell parents, come when you're in crisis. That's what gets you there. Mm-hmm. It's more important to stay when you're out of crisis, mm-hmm. because that's preventable stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're coming, you're taking care of business, you're bringing your kid. Everybody's accountable to somebody. And it really creates a place where crises don't happen. And if they do, you know how to deal with them.
And maybe we could take just a moment, because this is something I also haven't asked you before. What takes place when you go to the family support group? What do you guys do? I mean, somebody shows up, what happens?
Well, you walk in the room, and it's pretty funny, because you can always tell the new people, they're like lost. They're like, their days, where am I going, what's going on? And everybody's a little frightened. So first thing they come in, we'll meet you and your kid, and we'll say hi, what's going on? We'll get a little bit of information.
And you don't have to show up with your child,
no,
do you?
You don't have to show up with your child, and you don't have to show up with your parent. We have kids that come on their own because their parents refuse to go. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
You know what really kind of saddens me? When I watch parents drive up and kids get out of the car and come into the group and the parents drive away.
Ah.
It's like, if you want this thing to work, you're the most important person in your kid's world. Show up with them.
Yeah.
Get out of the car and come into the parent group. What a good message.
And you also told me that you'd seen parents show up with their kids, and the kid gets out of the car and the parent's sitting in the car smoking a joint.
Oh, yeah.
Smoking marijuana.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, if you want good for your kids, then be the role model that you want.
Yeah. So what happens again? They go in and...
So they come in, we meet them. Kids go in the kids group, which and the parents come with us. And we fill out what you call love notes. And really, pretty much, the kids are filling them out and the parents are filling them out. It says, what went well this week? So I say, hey, Mike, what went good this week? Well, I went to school every day. I don't know. It's not what it says on this love note. Or it is, and congratulations. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. Then it says what went wrong. So we can, oh, you went to school? Mom said you ditched every day. What's the deal, dude? So we can confront you on the negative, we can compliment you on the positive, and then it's pretty simple, what needs to be worked on. And we will get goals from what needs to be worked on. And when you see, when you come for a while, the kids in the parent love notes, they're pretty much the same.
Are they?
Because everybody's working together. And it's really pretty exciting. Last week I did a large group, and I think we had about 35 parents. and nobody was in crisis except for the new people. What a good, how do I say that? What a good example for new people to walk in a room. There's 35 parents. People been there for anywhere from 30 days to two. This is their second week or 5 years, and everyone's kid's doing good. So it's just kind of really good experience, strength, and hope in that room.
And another thing that I've never actually been there for one of these, but I know this happens.
Aren't you coming tonight?
Because I know.
Aren't you coming tomorrow night?
You're not gonna do this to me.
Yeah, I think
Listen,
you should come.
One of the things that I know you're big on, because you do this on the television shows that you're on when you have the parent and the child there in the television show,
Right.
and I've seen you do it in the behavioral health unit. But that is. You encourage people, give your mom a hug, tell her you love her.
Yeah, so
Mom, give your child a hug, tell them you love them.
Yeah, it's really pretty neat stuff, because we separate the kids and the parents, and they're doing their love notes, and everyone's working on goals and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the group, we bring everybody together, and kids take chips for, like, if they haven't used any drugs, they take a chip for a week or a month or 6 months, that kind of thing. Every kid has to take a newcomer chip and make some kind of a commitment. You do not have to take chips for sobriety, because this is not a drug program. Action Family Counseling is this support groups for anything. So we have kids that took literally cakes for a year for not cutting on themselves. I had a mom take a chip for a year for not yelling.
Oh, right.
So
that's good, though.
Yeah, of course it is.
Great.
So they make different kind of commitments. And when we're done with the chips, we save time for announcements, where somebody, like, you can bring a friend out, or your son or a daughter or somebody out, and say, you know what, I'm really proud of you. Or a lot of times the kids will bring moms out and say, you know what, thank you, I'm sorry for being a jerk, and you always have my back. And it gets pretty emotional.
No, but that's a good thing. So that's another one of the very positive things that takes place at the Parent Support Group. That's every Tuesday, 7 to 9 at Canyon High School. And speaking of chips,
But
Cary,
that will be tomorrow.
right.
And then we're off for 2 weeks.
Okay.
The school is closed, so we won't be back so tomorrow we're there. Then next 2 weeks we're off. 3 weeks from now we're back.
Enjoy the holidays.
Enjoy the holiday. But if you're in a crisis and you can't wait for Tuesday night group, you can always call the 1-800 number, and that's 1-800-367-8336, and we are there to help.
One more time.
1-800-367-8336, or you can go to actionfamilycounseling.com.
That's right. I was gonna say, Cary, you brought this up. You were talking about chips, and you have a very important anniversary coming up, Christmas Eve. You yourself, Cary Quashen, 36 years sober, I'm told.
36 years sober, Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Does that mean I can drink now?
From what I know, the answer is a big fat no.
The answer is, why would I even?
Unless you want to end your sobriety string.
Nah, I think I'll keep my sobriety.
Your story was you had a tough time.
I did.
I mean, because just for somebody that's listening, thinking, oh, you sounds like you got it all together. It wasn't a big deal for you. It was a big deal.
I'll tell you what, when I was first getting clean, I had some problems. We'll leave it at that. And I ended up in a treatment center. And the treatment center, it was crazy, because they had called me day before Christmas Eve and said, we have a bed for you tomorrow. And I said, it's Christmas Eve. They went, that's right. And this was 36 years
So
ago.
your excuse was?
And I had other issues at that time that I had to deal with, so going in that place was probably one of my best choices. Besides that, the drugs didn't work anymore. I couldn't get high and I couldn't get clean, and it was a vicious cycle of misery. So I ended up going in that place, and I'll never forget it. I was sitting in that room, and it was, like I said, Christmas Eve, and they were feeding us dinner. It was liver and onions. Nobody liked liver and onions.
My brother, that was his favorite meal that Mom made, and I always used to ask Mom if I could give my brother my portion. She said no, I had to eat it.
Do they even make that anymore? I mean, my brother made it too, but I've never heard of anyone making it anymore. I think
Fortunately, we only got it like once every so many years.
So anyways, they made liver and onions, and then they said, okay, everybody get in the vans. And we all looked at each other. They said, we're going Christmas caroling. Now, that was my first day of sobriety, and talk about ego deflation and all that stuff. It was like, really? So we went and we did that. But yeah, 36 years later.
Wow, congratulations. That's a big, big deal.
It's a big deal.
Hey, today and this is very appropriate. We're going to be talking about the holidays, drinking and the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, and there's a lot of drinking goes on, unfortunately. And I wanted to lead this off with something that you wrote, Cary. So you probably recognize this. Drinks don't always make the holidays bright. It's the season of great anticipation, and I'm not talking about Christmas or New Year's. I'm talking about the upcoming weeks, which seem to hold a special place on the calendar for many, from holiday parties, saying goodbye to 2016, and ringing in 2017. People will drink expensive fine wines, cheerfully packaged distilled spirits, and cheap beer.
Cheap beer.
That's what you wrote.
Well, that's kind of true, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. It is.
So, I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
It is to me.
Just when you're driving down the freeways, especially right now in this time, you could see people driving, and you could see they're drunk. Last night I seen people driving down Golden Valley all over the place, and it never ceases to blow my mind. What are these people thinking?
Exactly. I have to tell you, I was at an intersection on McBean. I was leaving the hospital, and I was in the turning lane, but I couldn't turn because of a lot of oncoming traffic, and this person behind me, notice I said person instead of some other word, was beeping his horn at me. And he was doing it in a rhythmic fashion. He was just going beep, 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 beep. And I looked up in my rearview mirror just in time to see him raise a paper bag and take a drink of whatever was in the paper bag.
A couple of weeks ago, Delisa and I were driving down Newhall Ranch Road, right? And there was a guy, he was literally all over. We actually called 911, and this was I think the third person we saw that day, but this one was so drunk that we were afraid for people's lives, and the sheriffs couldn't get there. They actually said we're too busy. We had a hit and run. There's drunk drivers all over the place. Man. But so it's just kind of like, if you're going to drink, and usually when you're going to drink, you're going to drink. You're going to a party. You're going to a bar, you're going to a club, you're going to a dinner. So if you're going there with the intentions of drinking, why the heck are you driving a car?
Right.
It's insane. There's 20,000, 30,000 people that get arrested or drunk driver crashes. I can go on for days about this. Why ruin your life and somebody else's?
Exactly, which is why we also talk about that.
But we're not telling people not to drink, Mike.
The ignition interlock device, which we'll mention hopefully before the end of the show. That would take care of that.
We're not even telling people not to drink.
No, we're not.
We're saying if you're going to drink, be responsible. Right?
Very
be responsible.
Much so.
If you're going to go to a party or a club, have a designated driver.
And make sure they don't drink.
Right. Again, if we're not telling you not to drink, we're saying if you're going to drink, bring a designated driver. There's no excuse anymore. What do you got? Uber? What is it? There's apps for Uber now, right?
Right.
So you just hit your button and they think within 5 minutes.
It's not hard to get a car to come and take you somewhere, a cab or Uber or somebody.
Yeah, imagine all these drunk driving arrests, all these drunk driving crashes, all that stuff is preventable. Go out there with the plan to drink and have fun. Be safe. Go out there with a plan. Have a designated driver. Again, have a designated driver. Have the app for Uber. Call Yellow Cab.
Yeah.
Do anything you want to do, but don't drink and drive. Once you do that, you're putting your life in jeopardy and everybody else's. And even if you don't crash, what if you get arrested? It's pretty embarrassing, humiliating, and very expensive.
Yeah, I did that documentary, and I actually went through the process of what a drunk driver does with the fingerprinting and the blowing into the breathalyzer and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it takes the wind out of your sails right away. And when the reality really sets in, when they stand you in front of the camera and take your picture in front of that big bunch of lines behind you.
It's not very fun.
No, it
It
isn't.
really isn't. Can you imagine having to call up one of your significant other or your kids or somebody and saying, honey, come bail me out?
Yeah, and think about it. If you're too drunk to understand when they say turn to the right and you don't know which direction right is.
Yeah. And alcohol, we all know, gives you kind of a false sense of whatever it is. You know, oh, I could drive. Once you put that alcohol in your system, you shouldn't be driving.
I've got a quick statistic just before we take a break,
I
Cary.
figured you would.
I've heard this one before. I'm sure you have. You wrote this. According to statistics, 20% of the people who drink consume 80% of the alcohol that is sold in America, and with the holidays, they drink even more. And those who are problem drinkers spiral deeper and deeper and deeper into trouble.
And I'll tell you what, holidays slow down in rehabs. We get slow. People don't want to go to treatment in the holidays. January and February, we explode.
Right.
Because of all those people that couldn't hang and couldn't handle their drinking and their drugging. Come January, they're in big trouble.
So it's party time during the holidays and then the big crash and burn at the top of the year. What a wonderful way to start 2017. Not.
Yeah, or you get all these people that make these New Year's resolution, I'm going to stay sober, and that lasts for about a day, maybe two.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions don't generally stick very well.
Exactly. On that note, Mike, you want to take us on break?
Sure. You're listening to Families in Action here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station, and we will be back in one moment.